All right, bud. It's good seeing you again. We got your two clips here synced up to the point of release. We'll let you watch it a couple times here through, and then we will discuss the note that we gave, which was experimenting with a shorter stride. So, with that in mind, go ahead and just kind of note the length of our stride and kind of how stretched out we are as we're going through. One of the ways that we could go about thinking about condensing this stride a little bit is from the top of the leg lift, we kind of are really extending and reaching this leg out quickly. And then the body is going. If we instead had the body and the leg extension occurring more at the same time, I think that could potentially get us into the ground more here versus here. And I think then your body wouldn't feel like it needs to get all the way to here, right? This huge angle tilt, because your body is trying to get so far out in front because the leg is so far out in front that it can't get that much further out in front without having to kind of get out of the way of the knee, right? Your chest is so far down, it's almost touching the knee, that if it could go lower, it probably would, but because it can't, it's trying to gain extra distance this way. So I think if we try to get this foot into the ground a little bit quicker, sooner, shorter, however you'd like to think about it, I think this could potentially see a spike in velo for us. So everything else that we're doing, like with our gloves path out and then in, is real good. Our arms path is pretty quality. We just have a pretty big, because of this tilt and fall, we kind of have this arm getting shot up as we're trying to come through. And I'm thinking this real high arm slot that we got here is kind of artificial just because of how much we're tilting. If we were to get this to kind of tilt back around and tilt back around, we'd be more at a 3/4 arm slot. So just something for us to think about this winter is playing around with something that gets this stride a little bit shorter potentially, and see what kind of benefits that provides us, if any. But even with the head getting that far off to the side and down, you're doing a good job trying to maintain contact with that target. We got some balance that we're displaying as we're coming through. We can see on this particular delivery, though, on the side, we're kind of falling out of it, falling back. Obviously, the other one we were able to come all the way through. Not saying every finish is going to be in the same spot, but we can just see with this extreme stride, our ability to be firm on this front side may be difficult when we're almost in a 90-degree bend. So something to think about, something to play around with. We just got some big league videos here. Like, I thought of Class A. He's a guy that really gets out there at his moment of release, kind of like you. But the one thing I wanted you to kind of notice the difference with the guys way out there like you are is the flexion in his leg at that point in time, right? Are you getting way out there because that knee is bent so much and allowing you to get out there, right? Class A's knee was bent about that much when it lands. Yours is almost to a 90. And again, the further you're reaching out with a stride, more times than not, that leg's going to land with a big, big bend. And the bigger the bend sometimes is an indicator that maybe the stride is a little too big for you, right? So just something for you to kind of think about. Class A is putting that foot down there with that much flexion. You're putting that foot down with this much flexion in that knee. And then as Class A gets into release, that's able to start to lock out. As you're getting into release, that knee is still staying in that same amount of flexion. Another guy that really gets out there is Ben Joyce. He's got a lower arm slot than you. But again, he's a guy that when he lands, he's got a lot of flexion in his leg because he's got a really big stride, kind of like you. But he's also a guy that as he's throwing, it's, oops. What did I do there? Oh, I hit E. As he's throwing, his isn't able to lock out as much like we saw Class A's, but you can see that there is some of that occurring during that throw. So just something to kind of continue for you to think about. We also got Garrett Cole here. Another guy does a good job getting way out there, but we can see just how much action is occurring through that front leg during that period of time of upper body coming through post foot getting into the ground. So just something to really think about, not something we need to change. If you feel comfortable doing it, this may also be something that we kind of make the decision based on later in our training when we get the radar gun out. Do we see a positive or negative move one way or the other, or are we seeing more or less movement on our pitches one way or the other? Got your two videos here synced up to the moment of release. I'll let you watch it a couple times here. Then we'll discuss the note that we gave you at the beginning of your chapter here. And then we'll use some big league examples to help drive home the point for you, which was a strong, firm, and tight front side. So on this next time through, I just want you to really pay attention to that front leg of yours once it gets into the ground. So that leg lift leg, once this thing gets into the ground right now. So from here on out, I just want your focus to be on this camera angle and just watch and notice how it started here. Now it's here. Now it's here. All right, watch that again, but now let's focus on this angle here, right? It lands and we have this flexion or bend in our knee. Now we have this flexion and bend in our knee. Now we have this flexion and bend in our knee. Now we have it over here. And now it's over here. And now it's over here. Now, with that in mind, we're going to throw a couple big leaguers up there. We'll let you watch it at full speed so you can see what it did. We'll let you watch it in slow-mo all at once so you can see what it does. And then we'll put some lines up there in the slow-mo after to help really drive home the point of a firm, tight front side. So we come back to when that front foot gets into the ground. We draw that same outline, and then we progress it forward. And what do we notice? We notice that it's not leaking forward. It's not bending more, but it's getting what? Firm, tight, front side. It is very difficult to have our lower body and our upper body be facing the target, the lower body rotate and be balanced on this one leg, and expect this to fire aggressively if this bend is getting more and getting to the side. But if it gets firm, I can rotate all day around it. Okay? Same thing like when you hit. It's going to be tough to rotate aggressively if that front knee is buckling, right? We need to be rotating into that firm front side of that leg. Same thing when we throw. We need to be throwing into a firm front side. Into a firm front side. Firm, firm, firm front side. We got Ben Joyce. I'll let you watch it the same way. Full speed. And then slow-mo, once that thing hits, bam. And Joyce got an extremely big stride. So we've got a big bend here. It may not be able to get straight, but what we're going to notice is that it does not get more, right? That knee did not bend more and get this way until he comes up tall. Because why? That's where the leg is at. He needs to get up here to get back up underneath himself. Let's get one more guy from the side. Boy, it's going to suck not being able to watch him pitch probably anymore. But we'll get Class A, foot in the ground. And he wants to throw around this firm front side. Not one that the knee keeps going forward and having an unstable, soft, bendy front side. If we now get you some front view ones to do that comparison, we can use DeGrom, we can use Zach Gallen and Zach Wheeler. 3 great guys that you should know of. So we got Wheeler. Leg is in the ground. Zach Gallen. We have anyone that's further pulled back? We do not. Can't use him. DeGrom. Okay, so both of these guys have their front leg, boom, and boom, in the ground. And now what we noticed with yours is what? It's way over here, that knee first, right? And we look at these guys, there, There, a lot more straight towards the target. We can see that belt buckle. See that belt buckle? Hard to see. Obviously you're not wearing a belt to see a belt buckle, but it'd be blocked because of this leg kind of, which isn't the biggest issue, but it's going to have to be a little more difficult for it to stay right there. And we watch your leg again. What's this thing doing the whole time? It's rolling out and soft versus these guys who's staying right there and getting firm. Firm. Getting firm. So that's what we mean by a strong, firm, tight front side. We need to understand that all of our energy and power is getting slammed into the ground here. If we want to be able to then send it back up to be used with our throw, we got to be firm with it. It's got to turn into a stake here. It's got to turn into a basketball pole. It's got to turn into a flag pole, whatever you want to think of. We just don't want it to be bending more, going forward, going side to side. That's got to be our firm front side that we rotate around, just like we have a firm front side that we swing around. All right, next we're going to work on being balanced on that front leg, having good stability as our body gets out in front of the leg. Just like it would be when we get to release in our follow through and our finish, we are in front of this leg. So we want to work on the strength, the balance, the stability of getting out here and being able to be balanced. Okay, so we're going to have 3 different objects here of varying heights. The shortest one closest to me, and the higher one furthest from me. Everyone's going to have a little different height based on your flexibility. All I'm going to be doing is going to be on that stride leg. Bam. Working good knee posture. No bending of this leg. Having a good arched lower back as we do this so our back can stay stiff and not be loose and go down hunched. And now we're just going to go down, touch, and come back up. Now you're going to the next one. Down, touch, come back up. And then the third one. Touch, and come back up. All right, this one we're going to be working in a split squat position. 90 degrees in both of our knees roughly. And we're either going to have weights in either hand. Unfortunately, I don't have heavy enough weights to be able to do this with because you want it to be pretty heavy. So I'm going to use my tidal tank instead. Traditionally, if we are just using kettlebells, dumbbells, we're just going to have one in each hand, and we're just going to be holding on to them as we get into our split squat position, and as we hold, we're just going to hold them. With the tidal tank, I'm going to add a little extra something to help with the instability of it. So I'm going to move my arms around a little bit to help increase the difficulty of keeping my stability in my split squat position. So down on one knee, okay, and then I'm just going to be working myself. I'm going to have my tidal tank here, I'm going to have it out here, and then I'm also going to have it over here. And we're going to be up into our split squat position for 5 seconds at a time. So I'm going to start here, then I'm going to get up, then down, and I'm over here, up, and then I'm over here, I'm up, and then I'm down. And then we'll switch legs. We'll do the same thing. We'll go up for 5, and then we'll go down. yourself in the middle here. I'm gonna go up. Go down. Yourselves over here now. Go up. And go down. We're going to be in a split squat or a front foot strike position. More of a split squat, but we can think it's at front foot strike. And then we're just going to have the title tank held up underneath our arms here. And we're just going to work on trunk rotation while keeping lower half nice and stable. Boom. Okay. Oh. All right, Mr. Decker, got your 2 videos here synced up to the moment of release. We'll let you watch it a couple times here before we start to really break it down and discuss our note, which was creating momentum earlier in the delivery. So this time, we kind of just watch the side view specifically and just note how long your body is just staying here, 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 before you actually finally start to gain some ground. I feel like that's one of the big reasons you got this huge falling back, right? Because we're not creating momentum earlier in our delivery, we don't have the ability to get it going. So then we just have to rely on the upper half just to spin and rotate to make this throw for us. So I want you to kind of just imagine is right now we are really going down the elevator many floors before we hit the escalator, right? We're going down the elevator, down the elevator, down the elevator, down the elevator. Now we're finally starting to go down the escalator, but because we've gone so far just down the elevator, we don't get to take advantage of this escalator no more. Now we're kind of just going straight out, straight out, straight out, straight out, straight out until the foot lands a little bit lower. And then to really help us get this back shoulder, instead of the back shoulder getting rotated forward because our body has really been going forward, we're kind of forced now to get the shoulders just to rotate more sideways and be forced then to kind of have that peel off here that we see. That's not just finishing to the side, right? If we were just kind of finishing with this heavy off to the side, that'd be one thing, but the whole body was very consistently going backwards with each of our throws. So if I show you some big leaguers that have some examples of creating this momentum, let's get this up for us. And I already got Ben Joyce up. Oh, that's this is a front view, that's why. There we go. All right. And then we get some guys that you're going to know the names of, besides the ones I already got there. Let's see. George Kirby, that'd be another good addition. All right, so let's get these guys. Kershaw, we can't really do. He's in the wind-up for this one. But all these other guys are from the stretch. Oh, Kirby's also in the wind-up. So, all right, we'll just roll with these guys. Skeens is also in the wind-up. what I just want you to kind of watch with these guys is how their bodies are kind of drifting during the leg's ascent. We're going to kind of see the whole body start to drift forward a little bit. So notice that, just that little drift right there. Just this little drift. Little drift of getting that body's weight just to kind of break that balance point and kind of just pendulum just that other side. Boom. Just that leg instead of that leg coming up, the whole body just sinking, and now me just trying to push laterally to my destination. I'm matching more of this mountain slope, and I'm allowing myself to go as I get down. Right? So something we can do to help you visually see that, because this may be the first time you're thinking of this. If we just kind of go head, and I'm kind of just trying to draw the same spot on that head. It's not so about right before that foot is going into the ground has he now gone completely horizontal with it. Okay, so now let's get you up. And we'll put you a little bit further back so you don't interfere with his. And we'll do that same thing. Sorry, my circles aren't the greatest. I'm just using my MacBook trackpad here. But we can get the gist of it, right? Look how long you're going sideways, going horizontal versus this one, right? You did a lot of falling, stop the falling, and now let's use energy. So we fell. We had to use some of our energy to stop that fall. We had to use some more of our energy to redirect our body, and now whatever energy we have left with, we're going with it this way. I'll see if I can find the clip, but have you ever seen the thing? I think it's Mythbusters, which may be a show you don't even know because you guys are so much younger than I am, where they have 3 different ramps and they drop the ball at the same time, right? The one that's just completely on like a 45-degree angle, one that's very much like your path, and one that was like Garrett Cole's path. And when the balls get dropped, the one that has the most energy, that's going the fastest, that reached the destination the quickest, is this path right here. Okay. If I get another guy up here, let's get Ben Joyce, and let's get Joyce up this way. So again, he's not interfering with any of our previous things. And we put his nose there, nose here. Oh, let me get to the slow-mo one. Always a little bit easier for me to keep up with. Nose, nose, another nose, another nose, another nose. And then now here comes the horizontal right before that foot gets in the ground. Right, so we can see this kind of this theme of more of this type of path down the mound versus this drop and drive type of path. Another guy that's blowing shed these days is Mizorowski. We're going to see that same kind of drift, right? That same drift. The reason we didn't want to start with this one is because the camera moves, so it's tough to do the lines like we had. But that same type of drift as we're dropping that back leg. So we're not just making it, wanting it to be just a drop the back leg and then drive off at the back leg. We want to try to catch some of this momentum. So we want to think about is like, as the leg gets to here, start to have this just kind of drift forward a little bit. So that way, by the time the leg is coming down, your body wants to also go down. Rather than the leg going down and then your body just wants to go down, and then because the front leg is now swooping forward, be the reason that your body starts to go forward. Because now we're not able to use that back leg as much as you think you can, right? You're probably trying to load this back leg. Let's really get it loaded there. But then if our body's not going forward at that same time, at that same rate, now this front leg's going to really kick in, and now all that weight that we loaded in that back hip is just getting flung out this way anyways. So we got, I think we got a couple more miles an hour in the tank that we can unlock if we can just get this body flowing down the mound a little bit better for you. And something that has nothing to do with your pitches, but when we also add this into our delivery, our time to the plate is going to be significantly reduced, which is going to help us in the running game. The last thing we want to be doing is having to slide step the instant someone gets on base. It drives me up a wall watching youth baseball these days, and as soon as someone gets on, all you guys do is just pitch out of the slide step, and half the time, or over half the time, we're not even slide stepping the right way anyways, right? We mix in the slide step when we need to, right? Everything else is having a delivery that's quick enough that we can sustain the vast majority of the base runners and give our catcher a chance, right? So right now with this leg lift that's going up, down, you sinking down, you going out, if I had to bet, you're probably close to like a 1.7, 1.8 time the plate. Righties need to be about a 1.35 to the plate. So easy way to shave off a half a second is if we were thinking about getting that leg up, getting it going. Get it up, get it going. Get it up, get it going. Versus get it up, let it go down, sink it down, push me out kind of thing. All of this is going to help with this huge, as well, I bet, falling backwards. Because the momentum going forward, we'll be able to finish out forward a lot better as well. Here's an easy little progression that we can do starting from the video that's on the left, just with our hand on the wall and just allowing our whole body just to fall into it until our elbow touches, and then just pushing ourselves back up. We're just getting comfortable with the body going forward without the legs needing to take us forward. We go to the middle video, and now we can add a leg lift to that. So as the leg is coming up, our body is going back into the wall the same way it was in that first progression. Something I like to think about is, in this drill, is having my knee touch that hand the same time I'm feeling the elbow touch the wall. That way I know as the leg's coming up, my body was going forward. If you feel that knee touching your hand and then you start to feel your body going forward, we need to get those going a little bit quicker. And then on the right is the final progression where we're a lot closer to the wall and we're just feeling our body touch the wall as that leg's coming up. This is going to help us really learn how to get the momentum going forward versus the leg coming up, the leg going down, us going down, and then just the whole body just trying to fall forward into that wall. But we're trying to drift and glide into that wall. All right, we got your two clips synced up here to the moment of release. We'll let you watch it here a couple times through, and then we'll discuss the notes that were provided here at the beginning, and then we'll use some big league video to really help drive home the point of what we're trying to focus on. The first being hand separation. So while we're watching this time through, I just want you to kind of pay attention to your glove and where it's going and how it's just kind of staying in place the whole time, right? If we just kind of said from the top of the leg lift, it's on the center of our chest. And then here we could say it's still the center of our chest, still the center of our chest, still the center of our chest, still the center of our chest. Now it's at our lead armpit, and now it's back to like our chest and back to the center of our chest again, right? So this lead arm is like never really giving us the space or the freedom to really want to go, to really want to go, to feel some stretch, and then to come through some rhythm in our hands, in our arms, in our upper body. Because this movement here is called hand separation, right? Which means two things going away from one another. Right now, you really just have one thing going away, right? You really just have the throwing arm moving away. And we don't necessarily need to be like equal and opposite or mirroring one another, but we would like to see, like, as much as this is going through movement, this also go through some movement. So that way we can find that, like, yeah, here I am ready to go. Now I'm coming through kind of thing. So we would like to see this glove, this elbow start to maybe come up as it extends out. Maybe the glove drops down before it then begins to reach back up. But we would like to see this glove and arm get some extension out in front of you so your body feels like it can go out in front as well. So that's what we mean when we're talking about getting some hand separation going on. And it's going to help keep your body in sync and get some rhythm. The second thing we want to look at, notice, and talk about is this foot down, then rotate to throw, right? So if we just shift our focus really to the lower half here, I'll pause it once this front foot is all the way in the ground, right? And if we're focusing on the side view one, we back this up and we can see that we're really hitting heel first, and then we're just going to kind of fall into the rest of my foot there. And what we can see is by the time that rest of your foot gets into the ground, just how much your upper body is already rotating around. This right here is the moment in our delivery where we're trying to separate our two halves, our upper from our lower. Okay? The way we do that is by having, if these are my hips and these are my shoulders and you are my catcher, when I'm going down this mound, I'm needing my lower half to fire and my upper half not follow it, so that they have separated themselves. And when they do that, all of this tension that I'm building in this separation now can be used with this upper half to accelerate and increase its rotational power. Okay? It's creating that whipping effect. And the more we get of that, the more free power we have, and the amount of stress that gets reduced from our arm having to make that throw, because it's just the body letting go of the tension that creates the power instead of us having to force the power with our arm. So we're trying to throw this baseball before your feet are even in the ground. And the reason it's taking you so long to get into the ground, I am betting with a high likelihood can be attributed because of this glove not giving you extension. You're not getting this glove out enough for you to want to go out. So instead, because this is holding back, that leg is just reaching out, it hits the ground, and now you're like, well, I got to go forward in order to throw. And everything is just happening so out of sync that we are going to struggle throwing strikes. We're going to struggle being able to pitch more than a couple innings without your arm just constantly barking at you. And our ability to throw off-speed pitches can be tremendously difficult. So let me throw some big league videos up here so we can see the differences from hand separation through the rest of the way. All right, so we'll start with Ben Joyce. And we'll just notice and watch where his glove goes and how his glove gets out in front of him. So then he can get out there as well. And we can notice that when his foot lands in the ground, it's landing a lot more flush. It's not so drastic heel than everything else because he's able to get out there as well. We also notice when that front foot is in the ground, his lower half is rotated towards the target. There goes his belt buckle. It's a great indicator to see how much the lower half is rotated. But his upper body is fighting to stay back. His lower half has rotated forward, and his upper half is staying back. His shoulders have separated from his hips because his hips have rotated and his shoulders have not, giving him the most potential power that's stored through his body that he can release, and that's why he blows 104 miles an hour. Okay. Garrett Cole, one of the best to do it, and he's been doing it for a very long time. We watch his glove go out, getting him some length, so that way his body can get out to that length. All right. We also can see this front foot meeting the ground a lot flusher because of that fact that he's able to get out there. And then we also notice when that front foot is in the ground, that belt buckle is firing towards the target, while that upper half is fighting to stay back, separating his hips from his shoulders, or that upper lower half separation. Kershaw, same way. Glove is getting out, giving him some length. When his foot's hitting the ground, it's a lot more flush. And when that foot is in the ground, we can see those hips have rotated forward while those shoulders are fighting to stay back, creating that separation. We'll see the same things with Paul Skeens. Foot's in the ground, hips have fired, shoulders are staying back. Foot is trying to land a lot more flush because his body is able to get out there because the glove is getting more out there. And then the one thing we noted with you and your partner at the session before we were done is just how much you're just falling over to the side, right? We're just kind of falling over to the side. And if we watch your front leg, because you're heel first, then we roll to there, our knee's bending so much, and the knee is bowing out, we have nothing stable. We need to be on a nice, firm, stable front leg. Yours is bendy, swayy, everything. We need to be nice and firm with that front side. I'll show you one last video before we get to this next guy here. We'll go from the front view so you can see that. Let's use the Grom here. Watch his front leg get put in the ground and then it's firm. Foot's in the ground, bam. It's in the ground and it ain't wobbling. It's firm. So that way he can rotate around the firm, not have to fall out of the unbalanced. So that's what we mean with hand separation needs to get worked on, and this foot down first, then rotate feeling. All of this is going to help with your arm, because if not, our arm is going to be killing us all season. That's the last thing I want for my pitchers. My pitchers all have healthy arms. So we're going to be really having to pay attention to our detail, working slow, under control to really repattern and create new muscle memory for our body. We can use this drill here for a multitude of things. One, we can use this for helping us get some extension in our glove. If our hand separation, our glove path is super short and condensed, we can use this drill to help us lengthen that out. We can also use this drill to help us with our arm path. If we got a long, loopy arm, we can use this to help load that arm up and keep our arm compact. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up. So this drill here is going to help us with a few things. First, helping us keep our glove in a good finished position as we are rotating those shoulders to throw the baseball, by keeping that hand on the PVC pipe on the outside of our front foot. But even more importantly, this drill is helping us learn how to rotate our shoulders and our hips through release and not just stopping at release. So being able to hold onto that PVC pipe and rotate my shoulders through release, I can rotate around that PVC pipe. The next stage here, we can see we added getting the shoulders back to the position that they are at when we get our front foot into the ground during our pitching delivery. We can see we get that hand that's holding onto the PVC pipe and get that out as if our glove is getting into its separation. So we'll see that here. And then we'll work on swiveling it into our chest and then finishing the rest of the throw through rotation. And then eventually we'll be able to work it all into one motion where we work it back and then come all the way through in one smooth motion. And I have the PVC pipe in front of my foot here, so that way I can make sure that my back foot is coming to a similar position each and every time at the end of the drill. See that my hips go all the way through, the shoulders come all the way through each and every time, but that foot and that head stay right on line. All right, Mr. Loveday, we got your 2 clips here synced up to the time of release. We'll let you watch it a couple times here through so you have an opportunity to kind of get an understanding of what your body is looking like versus this note that we got here for you, which is your arm is a little late and is dragging because of that. So we'll let you watch it here again, kind of focusing on the arm path, and then we will we'll pause it throughout a couple different periods of time here and get into some more detail on that, and then we'll throw some big league videos up here as well to help you have a better understanding of this arm. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause this video when that front foot gets into the ground. Bam. All right. Once this front foot is in the ground like this, our lower body has done its thing. Now it's time for the upper body to do its thing. All right. The lower body's still doing stuff, but now it's primarily the upper body's time to take over and be aggressive. So what we like to say is once that foot gets in the ground, the upper body's got to be ready to throw. And some things that we would say the upper body needs to be in position-wise to be ready to throw is chin over shoulder, what you're doing, and this glove staying inside of our body, aka not getting out over here, which would open our shoulder up, which would keep our chin over nothing. So this right here, we're doing good with being ready to throw. Where we're not so good is back here, ready to throw. Okay. When I pull up some of these big league examples, what we're going to notice from their front shoulder to their back shoulder to their throwing elbow to their throwing wrist to the baseball is going to be a lot more like this. Where if we then went to their back hip and then here's their shoulder, we would say that their elbow is close to a 90-degree bend and their armpit is also close to a 90-degree bend. And that's more the throwing position that we want to be starting from, right? And we said once that front foot gets in the ground, it's time for this upper body to throw. So we're looking for this arm to be more here versus here. Because if we get to here and these shoulders now start to rotate, this arm's not going to really want to go with it. It's going to want to get left behind. And when that arm gets left behind, we call that starts to drag. When the arm drags, it puts a lot of stress on our arm to make each and every one of those throws, rather than that stress getting dispersed throughout our entire body, which can handle that stress 100, 200 times in a given day when we're making all these throws. So from this point in time, if we just kind of watch this arm now, as our shoulders rotate, our arm is kind of just dragging forward. It's kind of just dragging forward, right? And usually we want that arm to be kind of like whipping forward. We have that like that big layback that we see in slow motion videos or in pictures that get snapped at the right time. That arm's way back here, right? Your body's not really getting that because our arm was not ready to throw from a good position. It's throwing from this really long position and just kind of dragging itself forward and pushing itself out in front to make this throw. So if we get some big league videos, and we'll get them in the same spot of when that front foot gets in the ground for the first time. We'll get Garrett Cole here. And we'll pause it. Like I said, when that front foot gets into the ground, bam. Okay, and like I was saying with the angles we're looking for, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, wrist, and hand. And I was saying we're looking for that 90-degree-ish angle in the elbow, and the same thing within the armpit. And if we did yours, we're close with the armpit one, but the elbow one we can see is almost closer to 180 degrees than it is 90 degrees. So now as Garrett Cole gets to start to rotate his shoulders to make this throw, we can see how that arm is really laying back. And then when he goes to make this pitch, it whips out of that layback. And because the frame rate is different, we can see the blur of that arm whipping forward. With yours, because there's not really that layback, there's not really that whipping forward. If we use Kershaw in the same way, bam, his foot is in the ground. And we look at him and you at that same time of your foot in the ground. And we can see those differences again with shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand, shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand, right? There's our 90. And then from the hip to the armpit, hip to the armpit, there's that other 90 versus yours and yours, right? Another thing that we can think about visually is figure skaters, right? When you're watching the Olympics, you're watching figure skating, when they're going to spin in place as fast as they can, their arms aren't way out here when they're doing that. Their arms get tight and close to their body here. So we're about to rotate, spin our upper body as fast as we possibly can. It's going to be the most efficient and effective way to do that would be with these hands closer to the body versus further from the body. So that's what we mean when we're saying your arm is late and dragging. Your arm is late getting to this loaded throwing position, or this 90-90 loaded arm position. So we need to work on that arm getting loaded and on time and not being so left behind and delayed. That way our arm stays healthy. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up. So this drill here is going to help us with a few things. First, helping us keep our glove in a good finished position as we are rotating those shoulders to throw the baseball by keeping that hand on the PVC pipe on the outside of our front foot. But even more importantly, this drill is helping us learn how to rotate our shoulders and our hips through release and not just stopping at release. So being able to hold onto that PVC pipe and rotate my shoulders through release, I can rotate around that PVC pipe. The next stage here, we can see we added getting the shoulders back to the position that they are at when we get our front foot into the ground during our pitching delivery. We can see we get that hand that's holding onto the PVC pipe and get that out as if our glove is getting into its separation. So we'll see that here. And then we'll work on swiveling it into our chest and then finishing the rest of the throw through rotation. And then eventually we'll be able to work it all into one motion where we work it back and then come all the way through in one smooth motion. And I have the PVC pipe in front of my foot here, so that way I can make sure that my back foot is coming to a similar position each and every time at the end of the drill. You can see that my hips go all the way through, the shoulders come all the way through each and every time, but that foot and that head stay right on line. All right, big fella. Got your two videos here synced up to the moment of release. We'll let you watch it a couple times through, and then we will get into detail and some depth about the note that was given to you at the beginning of your chapter, which was controlling my arms. All right, so as you're watching your video here, kind of just put extra focus into what your arms are doing and how big, long, loopy, swoopy, and almost out of control they are. So what we want to be, excuse me, what we want to be thinking of is our hand separation is rhythm, right? All we're doing is just creating timing and rhythm to get to here, right? to get to this loaded, ready to throw arm position by the time that front foot hits the ground, right? That's all we're doing, is just getting ready for that. And the more simple or compact or smooth or rhythmic these hands can be working together to get ready to come through to throw, the better. All right. So obviously they're starting together, and then we will pause this when that front foot, bam, gets into the ground. Okay. So from this moment in time of foot, bam, getting into the ground, it's time to throw. Okay. And what we can notice is that your arm, we would love your arm to be about right here, both in terms of here and in terms of posture within your body here. We need your arm to be in this position with the foot in the ground. But what we're going to notice is that your arm is going to begin to lay back into external rotation before this front foot's in the ground. So we're going to see like the hand going this way and the elbow going that way, right? The hand going towards the wall and then the elbow coming towards us. That's what we're going to be seeing here as this foot gets into the ground. Notice that? Bam. So your arm is already starting to throw the baseball before the foot's even in the ground. So the foot's going to get in the ground, and now your arm is almost fully laid back into external rotation super, super early. On top of that, we got this glove that is getting swooped from here to here in a very extended straight arm and like a windmill slinging out off to your side and down. And bam, just slinging down there. That's now going to take my front shoulder. It's going to fly it open. Boom, flying my front shoulder open. And then now this arm that is in a fully laid back position and the hand is like directly behind your head right now. This is a super stressful position for your arm to be in. We are at a tremendous risk of a potential arm injury at some point in time if we continue to get stronger and make more and more throws from the mound from this type of arm position. Because now it's going to continue to be in that layback position as his elbow tries to now get things out in front for us. And we can just see the amount of stress that your body goes through to do this movement is just displayed in your face. I mean, your face is just under tremendous stress trying to pull this elbow out in front of you because it's just so far behind you and so far laid back already that it's just got to be so stressful for your body to do it. And you can just see how long your body stays tight and tense even after that ball is out of your hand, just because it's still, your body is still trying to pull this arm out. It's still trying to get out in front of you still. And now finally your face is starting to relax now. So that is what I mean when I'm saying we need to control our arms. We need to control this glove arm. It goes out, but then it's got to get controlled back in. Our throwing arm has got to get controlled on the way up because we're so extended and windmilly. It's just inertia that's doing things and not synchronization and rhythm and flow. So if I get a big leaguer here for excuse me, for us to look at. Who came? I'll get some variety of guys, and I'll try to get some guys that are on the taller end of the spectrum for us. So we'll get like a Chapman. Let's see who else is bigger dude that you're also going to hopefully know the name of. Kershaw is obviously a bigger dude. Let's get a Kershaw up in here. Who else can we get? I'm gonna get a Garrett Cole in here for you. And how about we get a DeGrom? And then let's get a Logan Gilbert, huh? All right. So let's watch these guys and how their arms are flowing. All right, so just pay attention to the glove path here. Glove goes out, glove comes in, right? It's not swooping outside of his body. It's very much in control, right? And then we can see as that front foot is in the ground where that arm's position is. And then when he gets his layback, bam, it's here, right? As his shoulders rotate, that's the reason the arm is laying back into its external rotation. Versus yours, which was getting laid back before that front foot's even the ground, it's in a full layback here, and we have yet to even really begun to rotate the shoulders through, right? So this position here versus here. When Gilbert's shoulders are like yours, his arm is still up. It hasn't started to lay all the way back yet. Now it's back, right? Your arm is in the same amount of externally rotated backwards position as Gilbert's is, and his elbow is even with his chest facing forward. Your elbow is significantly still behind you with yours in that external rotated position. All right, get Chapman over here. Watch the same thing. Glove goes out, glove finishes. Glove goes out, and it finishes. So it's inside of his body, with your glove is on the outside of your body over here. Right? And then the arm is loaded up at foot strike, and then as he rotates forward, the arm lays back. So that way everything gets to rotate down and out. We got DeGrom. Watch the same thing. Watch, just pay attention to the glove going out. And then swiveling in. Swivel. This right here. Out. Swivel. Finish. This glove going out is rhythm, and then it's a passive finish. We don't want it to be an active finish. And we can see the same thing then with that arm is right here, and then as his shoulders rotate, the arm gets laid back into external rotation so that the max external rotation is occurring with shoulder, shoulder, and elbow in this straight line. Versus, again, yours being laid back there. And it's because we just got so much chaos going on with our arms. So we just need to train how to control these bad boys. It's going to be easier to control them if they don't get fully extended like a windmill right away, for one. And then we just got to be in front of a mirror, just repatterning the glove, and then repatterning the throwing arm over and over and over again, because that's going to be the biggest thing just for your arm's health, let alone throwing strikes, throwing hard, throwing with movement. We just need to make sure your arm does not blow up on you. So there'll be a lot of attention to very fine details, slow movements, a lot of reps, a lot of new muscle memory being imprinted throughout your body. So this drill here is going to help us with a few things. First, helping us keep our glove in a good finished position as we are rotating those shoulders to throw the baseball, by keeping that hand on the PVC pipe on the outside of our front foot. But even more importantly, this drill is helping us learn how to rotate our shoulders and our hips through release, and not just stopping at release. So being able to hold onto that PVC pipe and rotate my shoulders through release, I can rotate around that PVC pipe. The next stage here, we can see we added getting the shoulders back to the position that they are at when we get our front foot into the ground during our pitching delivery. We can see we get that hand that's holding onto the PVC pipe and get that out as if our glove is getting into its separation. So we'll see that here. And then we'll work on swiveling it into our chest and then finishing the rest of the throw through rotation. And then eventually we'll be able to work it all into one motion, where we work it back and then come all the way through in one smooth motion. And I have the PVC pipe in front of my foot here, so that way I can make sure that my back foot is coming to a similar position each and every time at the end of the drill. You can see that my hips go all the way through, the shoulders come all the way through each and every time, but that foot and that head stay right on line. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up. We can use this drill here for a multitude of things. One, we can use this for helping us get some extension in our glove. If our hand separation, our glove path is super short and condensed, we can use this drill to help us lengthen that out. We can also use this drill to help us with our arm path. If we got a long, loopy arm, we can use this to help load that arm up and keep our arm compact. All right, so we got your 2 video clips here synced up to the point of release. We'll let you watch it a couple times here before we start to discuss the note that was provided. Excuse me. And that note that we gave you was we want to look to clean up your arm path. So if we just focus on your throwing arm from the time it comes out of your glove here, and we just kind of watch where it goes, how it's moving, and then the throw. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to back this up and pause it when our front foot, that leg lift leg, gets into the ground. Right there. excuse that beep, that's my lunch. With this front foot, bam, 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 into the ground, it is now time for the upper body to throw, which means the upper body, when that front foot gets into the ground, needs to be in its ready to throw position. And a good, strong, healthy, ready to throw position would have our shoulders still in line with their target. And what we can see is your shoulders, especially in this front view, have already begun to open up on us. When our front foot lands, we want our shoulders to be more like this, with our chin looking over our shoulder and that glove finishing up into our body. But we can see that foot's not in the ground yet. Now it's in the ground. And by the time it does get into the ground, your upper body is starting to want to throw already. So that's one thing that is going to get cleaned up with our arm path. If we shift our focus over to the side view, we will be able to explain that arm path a little bit more in detail, because when this front foot hits the ground, bam, we want this arm to be shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand. We want to think about a 90-ish degree angle in our elbow, and then if we drew this line down the side of our body, a 90-ish degree angle in our armpit. And we can see as your arm is loading up, it never gets this arm, which is very extended right now away from your body. It doesn't load it up. It kind of just loads it more around. I mean, you kind of see that in your wrist is just kind of turning around. We can see that in both angles, the front angle and the back angle. We can see that arm or that hand just kind of turning around rather than that hand loading up. And if we use some big league videos to help demonstrate that, we got Garrett Cole, who's an old dog, been doing it for decades at a very high level. We got a young buck in Ben Joyce, who throws hundreds of miles an hour. And then we got an elite closer who we may never see pitch again because of gambling allegations. So we'll start with Class A, who's a guy who throws 101 mile an hour cut fastballs. And we pause him at that same time of that foot in the ground, that foot going in the ground. We can see his arm went from, and I know it's a little blurry and hard to see, but his arm is going up, 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 up. And now that foot is in the ground, we have that shoulder, shoulder, elbow, hand, where that 90 degrees and 90 degree angles are a lot more apparent. We come over to the old dog that's been doing it forever and watch him get into his moment of that front foot hitting the ground, and boom, we see that same thing, right? Foot in the ground, foot in the ground. And when that foot's in the ground, shoulder to elbow to hand, and we got that 90 and that 90 degree angle again in that armpit. We slide Class A over there. We slide Cole over there. Those guys are looking almost identical in that upper body positioning, right? They both got there from different spots, right? Class A's arm is going back behind his knee. Garrett Cole's arm is going more back towards second base. However, they both get there, and there, when the front leg gets into the ground. And then we then take that to the young buck who throws 104-mile-an-hour fastballs, and we'll be able to see the same exact thing. Front foot in the ground, shoulder to elbow to hand. There's our 90, and there's our 90 in the armpit. Right? And Joyce's arm path is different than all three of them, where it very quickly swoops up. Very quickly swoops up. His elbow is almost already in that 90-degree angle. His armpit's almost already in that 90-degree angle. It's just going backwards into his scapular muscles, or back here. And then when the foot hits the ground finally, bam, there he is in that 90-degree angle, ready to throw the ball. And then all three of those positions, if I make these smaller now and go one there, one there, and then we do the same thing for Garrett Cole, put him down there, and then we do that with you, put you right there, and get you to the moment of your foot hitting the ground. We can just see that glaring difference in the arm's position. There's yours, and everyone else is in that position. So we're really going to want to work on, like we mentioned in your note, cleaning up your arm path, so that way the arm is getting to that loaded position, that 90-90 on time. So a lot of watching and studying of big league videos. Can utilize my YouTube page or my Instagram to just watch big league video after big league video. I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. We can get a couple different benefits out of this drill here. The first is learning how to sit into our back hip, how to keep that weight back as our body progresses out towards the target. We can also use this drill to help us continue to feel that hand separation and that good smoothness in where the glove's going. We can work on the arm path while we're doing this drill. And we can also be working on keeping that front leg closed until the drill stops. And once the drill stops, that front foot should be in a neutral or closed position, working on not opening up.